everybody, to another exciting edition of Ignite Humanity Live. I'm your host, Lady JB, and I'm here to ignite your life, ignite your ideas, ignite your possibilities, and truly ignite your ability to ignite others. And there's lots going to be words ignite today, so get ready and get settled, because we are talking about ways to ignite humanity. Each and every one of us can move the needle on. The difference is that we can do in humanity. Now think about that. You have the power to ignite someone else's life, but it always has to start from within. And from within is what I like to call your unique IP, that intellectual property that belongs to completely you. Nobody else has your IP. You have a story, you have a journey, you've been through a process, you've done things that nobody else has done before, and that makes it, well, not done before, but done your way. And that makes your unique IP all yours. And that means you have a recipe and a cauldron, and you have the capabilities to share in a way that other people are going to hear uniquely from you. Now, I'm here to just be the catalyst, the cauldron, the custodian of igniting humanity, and I'm bringing people to you to learn from ways that they have ignited humanity through their powerful stories. Now, we're here in Los Angeles live talking about ways to ignite humanity, some with amazing people that have come down to spend some time with me and just share, be in this room, in this studio, to talk very passionately about how they are igniting humanity, and they want to just drop a little seed of goodness into your heart and into your mind on how you can also ignite humanity. It's not that hard, really. It sounds big, I guarantee you. It's not as difficult as we think. We all have a story, a very unique story, as I said right at the beginning, something that only you have been through. And your story actually is the medicine for somebody else's sickness, somebody else's illness, somebody else's stinking thinking. You have the recipe and the medicine for that because you have already been there. You've been through the journey. You've gone through the trials and tribulations, and that is going to allow you to pull them forward and ignite them in ways that they can do things differently. Now, imagine if we were each igniting ourselves, if we were each stepping into what's possible for us, and if we were each helping and sharing and inspiring the next person, how that would create a ripple effect around the globe that would allow us to very quickly ignite one another. Now, we're talking, we've just been through a virus, but can you imagine the virus of positivity, the impact of infiltrating so many people with the abilities for them to be the greatest version of themselves? And that's the power of this show, and that's the power that me and my guests would like to instill in you. Now, I have had guests every single morning, Monday to Friday, coming to us live and talking about their Ignite moments, and you can watch them all on our platform. Go to ignitehumanity.live/watch, and you can see all of our previous episodes and check out some of the ways that our guests have been igniting lives. Also, if you want to do it live, you can see us on Traverse TV, and you can see us on Facebook. Go to Ignite Television on your phone or your laptop or your iPad, and you can watch us live also wherever you are. So if you're running or jogging or driving, we want to still ignite you through our Facebook feed. And of course, you can find us on YouTube. We're all over the place on multiple different networks, reaching out to over 4 million people, talking about ways to ignite humanity. And we're glad that you're here right now. All right, well, let's get started and not waste any time. I have an incredible guest. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you here. This is Michell Ruiz. He is a business consultant and super connector, and he's going to tell us about ways that we can super connect, not just with others, but with ourselves. What would you say about that word super connector?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up.
It's super connected for me. I feel like is exactly what you just said. It's such a simple concept of connecting with yourself and being true to that. And when you're, in recognition that we have so many more things in common than we do the opposite, you feel confident in sharing certain things about yourself that people, respond to.
Right, they want to know more.
Exactly. So,
sometimes people think about super connectors and they feel like it's, I got to get something from you. I want you to give me something, and we connect on a level of like tit for tat or trade. I think super connected, and I've seen you do this in the times that we spent together, it's really about giving. It's really about offering. It's really about doing it a little bit from a selfless place. And I know a lot of people are like, no, everybody wants something. But I want you to share that idea that we can connect each other and not necessarily need an immediate result for ourselves or even a monetary result.
Correct. I mean, because the thing is that when you realize the true wealth is in the relationships that you have, your network is your net worth. And it's part of like, an abundance mindset. When your cup is overflowing, you know that the universe is going to respond to that, and you being a vibration and the universe being a reflection of that. Even if, let's say, you're not in the most advantageous financial circumstance, if you have an abundance mindset and you know that it's going to come back to you, it's kind of like trusting oxygen. If you expel out your oxygen,
Right.
do you believe that you're going to get that, back into your
None,
lungs?
right, exactly. If I give you my oxygen, am I going to get none back, right?
Correct. So it's like a trust fall, like a theory of that you have to practice, I feel like, your relationship with the universe and the notion of giving to receive, because...
It's a big notion, and there, of course, you use the analogy when you fill your cup, there's lots left over from the saucer. But talk a little bit about that, because sometimes people are trying to serve from the saucer, but the cup is not full.
And it's going to be like that sometimes. And I feel like for me personally, if I look back and reflect and I think of, everybody being in your life for a purpose, whether it's for a season or for a lesson or, for the long
reason.
haul. Right. And, there's times where like you go through valleys. I feel like in order to show you, who really is in your corner and those people that you can really rely on. And then, when you go back into your abundance, if you're trusting those mechanisms of the universe, it's really going to come back to you and allow you to appreciate it, I feel like.
I like this because I have an analogy. I love to cycle, and, everybody likes to go downhill. They like that, woo, but when they're a cyclist. But in life, nobody wants to go downhill. Everybody wants to just be on the climb. Well, when you're a cyclist, the climb isn't always easy. The climb is somewhat difficult. So in life, we want it to be easy. We want the excitement of going up, and we don't appreciate the down, because in the down, we're also learning. Would you agree?
Agreed. Absolutely. I mean, it's... if you can become grateful in the difficulty of, low gear, steep hill, you can then appreciate the, high gear as you're, got your
zinging
arms up.
down. Exactly.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a mindset thing. It's completely a mindset thing. I think that, for me at one point, it was a choice of suffering or suffering. You know what I mean? And it's like...
Talk about that. That's an interesting point. Suffering or suffering.
Yeah, because it was like if you're born without the tools or resources or, self-associations of things that feel right, which are positivity and growth, in my opinion, there's a lot of people who are attached to the negativities in life and I was a self-fulfilling prophecy almost,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you almost expect negative things to happen to you. And so it took, I feel like just that faith of like, okay, things could be good, and trusting that and just having that become part of like the everyday way of thinking. Like, so I'm grateful for every single strife that had transpired because it was a part of me coming to this moment of gratitude. And, even the little things, are big things because you remember at one time like that you were praying for the things that you have now.
Right. So. I've heard a great phrase called prepare for your prayers, because a lot of times we're praying for something, but we're not really preparing for it to unfold. Have you had that situation where you really wanted something and then it showed up, but you realized that maybe you could have been more prepared or you could have been more, well, I like what you said, grateful. I mean, whatever part of that process, the gratitude actually makes us in the preparation of the fruition.
For sure. Exactly. It's the self-awareness that comes with those perceived failures. They say like success is like a stairway of failures, essentially. But I feel like every time when you're taking a step in the dark, you get more self-awareness as to how high you should lift your leg, for each step. So once you have that muscle memory, like you really take that success and I feel like a nugget that I would share that has really helped me tremendously.
Yeah, do share. Let's hear it.
Getting on a winning streak. Like, because if you're on a winning streak, like, it doesn't matter what is transpiring, you see the silver lining. And if you could wrap that silver lining around, your eyeballs and just say that this is all that I want to see, you're going to see more things that are happening for you. And yeah, it's insane how like I feel like I've practiced this, and coming from a lineage of like pure pessimism and like more victimhood mindset, it's like, I have to share this with people, essentially. It becomes like a necessity.
Because sometimes our story, we wrap ourselves in our story. And if our story isn't perfect or pristine or everything we want, we become a victim of our story versus the hero of our story.
Correct.
Has there been a time in your life where you felt like the hero of your story?
Oh, I mean, every day I get to be dad. I mean, like, to me, that's, no matter what I accomplish, being a present dad, a dad that can work from home and kind of like do what live as I please. To me, that's the ultimate success, because I feel like, the next generation is really what we're leaving this world to.
So true.
So, always looking at it through a lens of that. I mean, really putting together this conference, that is like the dream that I've had when I had my abundance epiphany.
Yep.
And realizing that I can accomplish anything. Why am I holding back? Mm-hmm. And so being like in a position where now all the pieces are together, and this practice of manifestation it shows itself to be exactly what, the idea.
Right.
I mean, just dreams come true. I mean, like, that's really, if there's a message that I could say is like, follow me on Instagram so I can show you what I'm doing. But absolutely, dreams come true.
Well, let me ask you this then, the opposite side of the question. Has there been a time where you were a victim in your story? Oh,
yeah. I mean, when I was raised in the Bronx, we were raised very disenfranchised. So you come from a place where, like, why even try? It's easier to throw dirt on yourself because you just feel that valueless. And so, like, for me, I remember when I was coming out of my 20s, I moved from the Bronx to Miami. Miami, was living by myself, for 2 years, and was homeless and went through a bunch of different changes. But then I moved upstate New York, and that going from mega metropolitan to the middle of nowhere, kind of just self-reflective opportunity, I realized that there was suffering. There was only a hard road ahead, and that I needed to educate. So, I mean, in that darkness, there was still a candle of wick of light that I knew that if I just cultivated that little fire, that eventually, okay, something's going to come of this. And so, I remember, like, it has to be a necessity. And my point of necessity was when I had went through, like, abuse, like self-abuse and just drug abuse. And I almost hurt myself, almost killed myself. And in that process, you realize, like, man, I don't want to die. And when you realize what you're willing to fight for, it's like, I'll give anything, especially now, even, 10 years later, I have children. I mean, I'm going to fight for life until, my last breath to make sure that I'm here being a positive influence. But it would be that moment of, like, real, like a resurrection, essentially, where your old self dies and you're like, okay, I'm willing to live a life of purpose.
Do you feel like there is that moment in our lives where if we don't rise up, we will be brought to our knees?
Absolutely. I feel like that's part of, like, the phases of life. We're constantly going to be brought to that moment, and there's going to be hard choices that we have to make with our graceful bow out of this experience, so.
Because we have to rise. And one of the philosophies of Igniting Humanity is really about evolution and evolving. And I think that if we decide we're not going to evolve, if we decide that the Velveeta sandwich is just good enough.
Right.
If we decide that the clicker, do they still have clickers? The remote control is still good enough, if that's
Alexa,
all we need, right? Exactly. If we don't decide to evolve, I feel like the universe will smack you upside the head and wake you up.
Correct.
And a lot of us are feeling like we've got the smack, but we feel like it was unfairly done to us. And yet we were the ones who were just sort of allowing everything to just be stagnant, or we weren't really evolving or rising up to our greatest potential. And I know that you and I probably both have been through situations where in our darkest moments, in those times we were on our knees, that was the beginning of the rise.
Correct. I mean, immaculately said, truly. And if there's anybody listening that's going through those moments, you know, it sounds crazy almost to think that, man, I could just think these different things and I can have these internal wrestling matches and say that, you know, even though emotionally, logically, if I'm thinking abundantly, even though everything externally is evidence of the opposite, that could change my life. And the reality is that, you know, there's constant abundance surrounding us in every opportunity. And so for me, I always try to share like the importance of financial literacy, because, you know, if you don't understand the matrix of exchange and trade and the perception of value, you're not able to, you know, see the opportunities to provide value in giving and helping somebody solve a problem that they may have. So it's always for me financial literacy and then abundance mindset, manifestation. If you can combine those two, there's really nothing that you can't create. It's really like the Legos, I feel like, of this current.
Okay, financial literacy is also a big thing for me, because I wasn't really taught growing up that we need to save, or we need to have consciousness around money, or that money is energy, or that we can use money to multiply. I actually grew up with very affluent parents, thank you parents, but at the same time, they rode the roller coaster of, I mean, there were times when life was really good, and then it was really scary, and then it was really great, and then it was like, and so as both my parents are entrepreneurs, and so that financial wave inflicted or instilled in me a certain understanding about financial literacy. What would you say to somebody who's been through the roller coaster of the highs and lows, or even the people who are feeling the flat line of, I just can't get the blip going in my financial success?
I mean, it could be, you know, there's different philosophies I feel like that people take on finance, and it really depends on, one, your risk tolerance, you know, being self-aware of that. And I say that, you know, obviously this isn't financial advice. But,
this is spiritual advice.
This is spiritual advice.
Energetic advice. Energetic sharing.
Exactly. And so it's becoming self-aware, I feel like, of, you know, my philosophy personally is always, I can make more money. You know, it's not about saving. Let me not like buy the latte. Let me not.
Right.
Because I feel like that automatically puts me in like a state of
resistance. Exactly.
Yeah, like you're not expanding, you're contracting. So I try not to contract unless completely necessary. But leverage is one. I mean, if you can figure out a way of leveraging relationships, or leveraging the two opportunities and working yourself in the middle, I feel like that's really the essence of consulting, is understanding who needs who and whose personalities can meld, and then figuring out contractually how do you get a piece of that market share that you're.
It's a great idea. I mean, consulting in regards to, like you're saying it from a business, I'll just pull it over here on the other side of the fence. When it comes to connecting with other people and igniting humanity, those same principles apply. How can we both have that win-win? I've talked about that before, and I know you probably have the win. I like the triple win. You're probably doing the 10x win.
There's so many, in connecting people, there's not a resource that you don't get access to. There's always a way to help somebody, because I feel like it's, there's a certain dynamic to like a complete entrepreneur, whether it's like your CPA, your lawyer, you have your marketing team, you have, just all those different components that are complete. And when you see that, you see the deficiencies in other people's practices, and it's just an easy, that they can see like, oh my God, I needed this, inside of my cog. So.
Isn't it true that connecting also, when you think about it, like if you connect, somebody says, I really need a great babysitter, and you're like, oh, well, I actually know somebody, I'll connect you with them. Or, I really would love it if somebody would, I could find a landscaper, and my cousin's a landscaper. And so the essence of connecting really is providing a need for somebody, not selfishly, I have the best babysitter and the best landscaper and none for you. Would you feel like, for those people who are thinking how can I connect humanity? How can I be a super connector? Is it really just the understanding that there's enough for everyone?
It's that, but it's what that creates, I think, which is like if you know that the sustenance is going to be there, it creates the next perception, which is the excitement for what that's going to create. So when you have that excitement, that's, you think about it, we're an electrical charge. So technically there's 1 billion volts of lightning inside of a lightning bolt, right?
Right.
And within us, each cell, there's about 0.7, volts each cell. And we have 37.5 trillion cells in our bodies. So we're technically close to 3 trillion volts of electricity. So igniting and being excited and like those different like mechanical, physiological things that you can activate into from your mindset, they have these tests that they do on the brain that show like when somebody's thinking about one thing and then they think about something that ignites them, the chemical release, the voltage, everything, your aura literally increases. So.
And someone once told me that we actually have more energy in our bodies than the sun. And I thought that was pretty amazing because of all of, it's what you just said, all of the power and the energy within us, which is really quite amazing if you really think about it. And even if it's not true, why not? If you kind of a cruel thing to think, I have more power than the sun. And that is really a lot of what we talk about. It is a belief system. It's not that you have to believe a lie or you have to believe something that isn't true, but you have to believe in something that's going to propel you.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And it exposes you to the things that, are either half-truths, whole truths, or just a truth to you. Like sometimes there's going to be things that, only you can see from the accumulation of thoughts and experiences that make you your unique self. And trusting that, it's like, there's times that I've had those moments where like, I really believe this and nobody around me can support it emotionally. And then I get the result. And then that is the true, truth teller.
Well, I'll tell you a personal story. I actually grew up with a small hearing impairment and I struggled in school a lot. And I ended up going to a summer camp and I was 12. I ended up telling everybody that I had a high IQ. I literally told everybody that I had a genius IQ, which it wasn't true. And nobody was quite sure if I was making it up or not. But the truth is that it actually helped me get over the stigma that I had a learning disability or that I couldn't do what the other kids were doing. Because I told myself that I had a genius IQ, that I had a genius thinking, not necessarily by the numbers in school, but just that I wanted to start thinking differently. I wanted to think like somebody who had the power to make change, even though I had what was considered a disability. And even though I didn't do good in school, my belief system at a young age sort of pushed me up and allowed me to go along the trajectory of something different for me. And I think you and lots of people were doing that. It's not that we're lying to ourselves, it's that we're empowering ourselves with a new idea of what we're capable of. And we're capable of a lot.
The beauty of what you just said is that, there's so much truth behind our self-dialogue. And, it's to say, the person, who says they can and that they can are both correct.
Correct.
And so, if the other one is true, absolutely, we could completely secede to a perception of inferiority, and say, oh, we are incapable. But when we say the opposite and we acknowledge the fact that we are and we do those things, it just, for me personally, and I'm sure for you, you would agree as well, is that anybody can tap into this idea with that faith of the seed that's already pre-existing coming to blossom. And what we're sharing here essentially is our testimony of overcoming that adversity in those moments where, the darkness seemed as if there was no promise of sun. But really that was just a germinating process of, realizing why we wake up every day, which is to serve.
Absolutely. And funnily enough, that genius that I felt in myself somehow was passed down to my son, because when he was 8 and he was in hockey, he's like, Mom, I think I'm the best guy on my team. I think I'm the best skater on my team. And I remember another dad go, and I said, you are, son, you're amazing, you're fantastic, you're doing a fantastic job. And another dad said to me, why are you letting him think he's the best on the team? And I was like, why not? Why wouldn't I let him think he's the best on the team? At 8 years old, he's got to think that he's the best on the team, because guess what? There's going to be lots of time in his life where he's going to realize that maybe he's not the best on the team. But cultivating that belief system, really, I feel like more of us have to do it. You've got kids, I've got kids. Fostering that idea that you are the best on the team. Just keep showing up and keep doing the best you can, and that makes you the best on the team.
Oh, so beautifully said. And
you can take that one for your kids.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. You know, I was recently in the jungle of Mexico, and a good friend of mine named Nick, he gave me this idea where it was like the third party suggestion. And he was like, you know, he was like, you could use that for your children, where, you know, you could say something like, you know, mom really knows that you're like really smart in math, you know, and like just like the third party.
Mom told me how great you are. Yeah.
And it just kind of puts that in their mind that they're hearing it like third party in a conversation that they weren't privileged to. And it instills that subconsciously that they're good or great. So a little secret that I thought was really resourceful, but
well, you know, someone told me that you're really great. Did you know that? Someone told me how amazing you are. Someone actually was telling me how wonderful you are. You're really, really great. Did you know that?
Tony, is that you? Is that you?
Thanks for being on the show. I so appreciate it. And I just really look forward to us doing some more magical things together to ignite humanity.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, honestly. Truly an honor.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as you can see, you can think whatever it is you want to think, but make sure you think in ways that are empowering you and inspiring you. And if you've got people around you, little people, be encouraging to them. And if you've got big people around you, your parents or your friends, also be encouraging to them, because what you say you create and what you think you believe. And so why not instill that in the people around you and be a super connector? Be willing to introduce people to each other and be willing to share more of what you have, because when we all share, we all benefit. And what we want is each and every one of us benefiting, because the truth is there is enough for all of us. There's more than enough. We have so many, as you heard, powerful energies in each and every one of our cells. We can make huge things unfold through the power of our intentions and through the direction that we move in. And when we believe it, we bring it into being. And I know it's complicated in many ways, but it's actually quite simple, because if you decide it's for you, then it's for you. And if you want something, then something, that very thing, wants you. And no idea or passion or desire comes to you without the knowingness that you are the one capable of bringing it into being. So trust that and know that and believe in that. You've got this. It's here for you. And you know that what you do absolutely is going to ignite humanity. Well, if you've missed any of our episodes or you want to watch more of this one again, go to ignitehumanity.life/watch and you can see this episode and all of our episodes entirely free to you, no charge. All you got to do is sign in. If you want to ignite lives of children, we encourage you to be a part of our initiative. We are building schools around the globe, and you could go to ignitehumanity.life/donate. Every dollar you donate buys a brick for our schools, and we are building schools that are igniting literacy. And so we want you to be a part of making a difference in a child's life by igniting them through the schools that we build. And if you just want to know what we're up to, well, come on over to ignitehumanity.life and find out about our documentary, our book series, and all of the things that we're doing. And last but not least, if you want to be on the show, go on over to ignitehumanity.life/share and tell us all about you, because you could be sitting right here beside me igniting humanity. All right, take care.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.